Hey everyone, my name is Nate Ortiz and this is Walking in Power. And today I want to talk to you about the grace that carries. In our lives, we all need grace, and depending how you grew up, grace is maybe a positive word where you feel like I've been so thankful for grace in my life. For others, it feels like maybe it's an excuse just to not live in a way that's disciplined or structured, that you feel like, oh, there's just grace and it's okay you make mistakes. But I believe the grace that God gives is the grace that carries you into what He has for you in this life. And so I think if you don't operate in grace, though, I think the opposite of that is offense. I think when you are not operating the grace that God gives you, the grace that God gives other people, you just typically become offended. You're offended that they're doing things, even though they maybe have some character flaws that you see, or that you say, I can't believe that they're doing this and they're this type of person. And God will deal with those people as well. This I want to focus on the story in John chapter 5. I believe it captures this well. And the guy in this story, he was a sick man laying on a pallet by this water that was stirred up by an angel, and then people would go into the water and they would get healed. Well, this guy has been laying there on this mat for 38 years and he's not been healed. And Jesus shows up and says, hey, do you want to be made well? Now, the scripture tells us in the stories that Jesus knew this man wasn't well, but he asked the question. Now, if I was this guy and I'm laying there for 38 years, and I'm sure people know my story, I've been there for so long, I really haven't been able to go anywhere because I'm lame and I can't get in. But that Jesus says, do you want to be made well? That could feel like an offensive question, right? In this life where there's maybe a struggle you have going through and you're going through, and someone says, hey, do you want to be made well? Do you not want to struggle with this no more? Well, it's like, of course I do. I don't want to deal with this issue that I have in my life. It could almost come across so offensive to you that you are blinded to what is in front of you, the solutions, the answers that are in front of you when you live offended. Jesus was this man's answer. Jesus brought the extended grace to him that was going to allow him to be healed. Now, I understand for some of you might say, I've been praying, I've been asking, God hasn't done it yet. And I can tell you that I know people that are in that journey right now. I know people that have exited that space where God's brought a healing to them. But here's what I want to tell you. In the middle of the difficult things in this life, there's a grace for you. And so I always say this, that in your life, when you are looking for grace, sometimes it comes to form in an offensive question. And God will always offend your mind if it'll get to your heart. And so you have to be in that place, understand that God is for you, but you have to change how you view things. You have to not just say, poor me, or it's never going to change, but you have to put your mind to that. I know that God is doing something greater that I can understand, that I can put together. And we have to be in the place to say, God, even in the middle of this, I know you're with me and I know you're for me. And so I want to encourage you that maybe get those questions in your life that are hard, the most offensive to you, because it's such a sensitive topic, or you're going through a difficult thing. Don't shy away from those kind of questions. Search with God the reasons maybe why you're feeling that. Why are those things just causing deeper issues in your heart? The second thought I would like to tell you is that when Jesus is talking to this man, he says, why, do you want to be made well? The guy tells him, he says, there's always someone who steps in front of me and I have no one to take me down to the water. And I thought, in this life, when you don't operate in the grace God gives you to wait or to move or to do something difficult, if you don't operate in that grace, you can begin to live in the place of offense. And now this guy wasn't there, but he said, well, there's someone in front of me and someone steps down from me, there's no one to take me. I know people in life that they just get stuck where they just say, you know what, no one's there to take me down, or someone always steps in front of me. Do you know those people, right? They might be in your family, they might be someone close to you, but it's always that mindset of someone's always doing it before me. You got to break that thinking. You have to remove this thought of it's everyone else's fault and it's never going to happen for me. It happens for everyone else. But Jesus can help you get to where you need to go. In Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16, it says, therefore, let's approach the throne of grace with confidence that we may have received mercy and find grace for help at our time of need. Now, our human nature is we want to always just look for opportunity for people to affirm our excuses in life. But we have to be of the mindset that when grace is extended to us, we must operate in that grace, right, that God gives. When those situations, we must operate it and not just take the approach of, well, I want someone just to feel bad for me, or I just want someone to affirm the excuses of my life. And if they don't, I'll make them the enemy. I'll make them the someone who always steps in front of me. Instead, let's be people who say, God, I'm trusting you. I'm waiting upon you. Even if I feel like people are stepping in front of me, or I feel like I don't have people in my corner, I know you're in my corner. The last thing I want to say is that when you operate in the grace given from God, people always have things to say. When you are doing things that people feel like you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be the one doing this or doing that, there's a grace upon your life that God gives to you, that he gives to me. Now, it's important that we operate in that grace, that we just don't say, I'm use God's grace to do what I want to do. But we operate in God's grace that he gives us to accomplish his will, not our will. So be that type of person that can understand that people are always going to come at you. People are always going to say things. People are always going to criticize. But if you're doing what God's asking you to do, those criticizers are going to fall aside. The people who are coming at you, they're not going to have a voice. Their voices are going to get more and more faint as you get closer and closer to God in this life. So I challenge you that, in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 7, it says, but to each one of us, grace was given according to the measure of Christ's gift. So there's grace upon your life to do what he's called you to do. And the people in your life who are the naysayers and trying to bring you down, I love this quote. It says, don't blame a clown for acting like a clown, but ask yourself why you keep going to the circus. Now, sometimes we have to be intentional about who we're letting speak into our lives, or we don't let people be a crutch for us and affirm our excuses. So be aware of that. Have just an inventory of who's around you, who's speaking into your life. But there is a grace for you to accomplish what God has for you. I pray today that you go after everything God has, that there's a grace for you to do it, and blessing upon you to do it from God. So, hey, I hope you have an amazing week. May you just get closer to God. May his grace just extend to you in all that you do. Have an amazing, amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon.